Now more than ever, your financial well-being matters. Brian Hale is a certified financial planner professional for Limestone Wealth Advisors, a private wealth advisory practice of Ameriprise Financial Services. Brian's joining us this morning. We're glad to have you back on. I'm excited about this partnership. So, Brian, let's start with this. The last time that you talked with us last week, you introduced what is Limestone Wealth Advisors and who are you together as a firm, as a practice. But what about you? What areas do you work in?
Good morning, and thanks so much for having me on yet again. I appreciate it. It's a great question. Let's start a little bit on a wider scope. As a certified financial planning professional, we look at six particular areas, and these are six areas I'd love to talk with you over the coming weeks and dive down and dig deep a little bit on each of them. Obviously, the first one is financial position. We'll cover that one today. Where are we now, and where are we going? Risk management is another. Portfolio construction is another, and major purchases. What are we saving money for? Is it a college education? Is it, of course, a retirement? Is it a great big boat that you're going to do the great loop that we talked about last week on? Number four is tax planning. Number five is retirement planning, and then number six, what do we do with it when we go? Well, how does the family get it? Are there charities involved that would like to be remembered? They would like to remember you in their planning. So those are the six areas. But today, let's talk about financial position. We talk about financial position with our clients so that we understand their net worth and we understand their cash flow. I had an honor being able to provide some financial education to our armed forces in Brussels, Belgium, a few years ago. And I looked at these security forces at NATO and asked the question, how many push-ups can you do? And boy, they knew it in a heartbeat. And how many sit-ups? And how fast can you run a mile and a half? And they had those answers in a heartbeat. But then I said, who do you owe? What do you own? How much is coming into the household on an annual basis? How much is going out? When was the last time you tracked all that? Blank faces all around. So the question is, when we help our clients with the financial position, the first thing we have to know is, where are we? Yeah, we're going to talk about where we're going, but what's the chance that everybody during this shelter in could grab a pencil and a paper and just starting writing down everything they own and putting a number next to it? It doesn't have to be exact, but some sort of number. And then who do you owe, right? You see where we're going with that? And then where's the money come from? And where's the money going on a monthly basis? That's going to help us now. That's going to show us how much we have to save for retirement. And it's going to show us how much we have left over. And it's going to show off how much we're going to spend in retirement, because now we know what we're spending now.
It seems like an obvious thing. Many of us, or at least most of us, would like to be in a better financial position. I think that that's just human nature. Like you and I had talked about last week during the very beginnings of this partnership, a lot of people right now are looking at, what are things I want to do? What do I see for my future? So Brian, how do you take those first steps? How do people who come to you say, okay, what do I do to get from here to here?
That's exactly right. So I don't care if you want to be Warren Buffett, Jimmy Buffett, or one of those great guys that work at Hometown Buffett. It doesn't make any difference. We still have to start with the basics of financial planning. We have to know all of the assets. We have to know how much you've invested thus far, if you've invested anything. We have to know how much you make and where it's going. Those are the basic dynamics. Then we start talking about, what kind of fun are you going to have? What do you want for your children? What do you want for yourself? Those are all of the aspects. So yes, there's an entire conversation about math, but then there's also one about heart, and there's one about society, and there's one about taxes. And we're going to help you figure out what your philosophies are and what your belief system is. And all of that combined is the beginnings of good financial planning.
Well, I look forward to continuing to explore this with you. Thank you so much for taking the time, Brian.
Once again, thank you so much for having me.
You can connect with certified financial planner professional Brian Hale and Limestone Wealth Advisors, a private wealth advisory practice of Ameriprise Financial Services LLC, by calling 502-894-9366 or visit limestonewealthadvisors.com.